I'm super excited. This takes me back to my childhood, experiencing these kinds of dances, and how cool that I get to bring our little bambina into this. It's gonna be so great.
Barong Dance is really one of those ceremonies and rituals that lays it all out. It's at the very core of the Balinese culture. It is the struggle between good and evil. We have been accepted by the chief of the village because we have been coming here for quite a few years, and we are blessed and privileged enough to actually be invited to this dance that happens 10 times a year. And it starts sort of as a performance during daytime, and as the sun sets, as we go from light to darkness, it is the transition from going to good to the dark side. And what happens within Barong Dance is Barong, which is this beautiful creature, comes out, and it is the representation of good. And then there is Randa, who is the evil witch. And so the way these two come together is the good and evil fighting it out. It is the intention of the villagers to allow themselves to transcend into trance. That's what it is. They basically allow their body to be overcome by this darkness. And it is their way of finding harmony in their lives. It is their way of cleansing and purifying their spirit. To be part of something like that is quite intense, because left, right, and center, people start falling into trance, and it's a seemingly quite a violent thing that they go into. In order for them to come back out of the trance, priests will come out, and there's a ritual to the coming out of darkness. And it is quite rare nowadays to find a culture that is still true to its ritualistic ancient tradition. In this case, it's animal sacrifice. It is something we kind of had to learn the hard way, because the very first time we took our teacher training group to see this, we did not expect this to happen. I don't have to go into too much detail, but I do remember I looked down the line to some 30 plus trainees that we brought into the ceremony. And it was just terror and tears pouring down, and we basically exited as fast as we could. And what transpired from there on was the most transformational, most beautiful experience that we went through as a group, because we posed the question, what is your biggest fear, to everybody? And with that sort of residual of this experience that just happened, everyone was open and vulnerable enough to just lay it all out. And so in our own way, we sort of had our version of the experience of the fight between the good and evil, facing our dark side and coming out of it victorious, cleansed and purified.
So we were super blessed to have Adam with us here for 2 whole weeks, sharing the heart of, well, everything that he does, the philosophy, anatomy, the stories, the sequencing, just his full presence here in the practice and during this training has been such a gift. And he concluded his time with us in a really sweet way, teaching a whole 3-hour storytelling, asana moving, breath synchronized experience about Hanuman and the heroes within all of us. And it ended with a really sweet love fest, big massive cuddle, all of our students saying their see you laters to Adam, playing Xavier Rudd's Spirit Bird, really special song in our hearts, and for so many of them, just such a perfect way to say goodbye to Adam. As Adam said goodbye to us, Meghan Currie popped in to say hello. Meghan is an incredible international yoga teacher, and we're also fortunate to call her a dear friend of ours. We've known her for a number of years now, and whenever we see each other, we always end up getting into a little bit of mischief. We're doing a 1-minute ginger shot challenge, 20 seconds, holding it under the tongue, 20 seconds swishing side to side, and 20 seconds gargling before we swallow it.
Set, go.
I need to burp again.
So my name is Meghan Currie, and I live in Bali, and I teach yoga mostly. I go around the world to teach yoga, but then I take time in Bali to work on projects and to study and to play and to relax. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm in Bali. When I look back, it looks like there was a defining moment, but I think that's what our minds do. Of course, it was like a grouping of many, many, many moments that accumulated to then eventually create the pinnacle moment that then was the moment where everything shifted. The moment was a moment in Vancouver when everything started to fall apart, and I was really addicted to alcohol and a vicious cycle. And I remember, I felt like I was trying so hard to be a human, or something like this. It was like, I've been trying so hard. Like, what do you want from me? I remember a moment I was like, Jesus. I wasn't talking specifically to Jesus, but I was just like, what do you want from me? And in that moment, I gave up. I was like, I give up. I give up. Fine, do whatever you want with me, because I'm not trying anymore. And in that moment, then I went through like a period of depression. And then from that depression, I decided to take a training, a yoga teacher training. And in that moment, I took a totally different path. And I quit drinking and focused on yoga and focused on healing myself and my past traumas and really getting honest and real with myself. I think it's important that all of the aspects of life, we try to make friends with them rather than rejecting or creating enemies. I think especially the ones that we would consider to be our enemies, so these things that we experience in ourselves, certain feelings, emotions, depressions, to get even more curious with the composition of those aspects and start to develop a dialogue, like really investing the time to inquire more deeply into your inner makings. In my experience, all the depression and anxiety was a manifestation of me resisting something inside of myself. I was so scared to face that because it felt so big and so dark, and it felt like if I got too close to it or looked at it, like the big scary depression, if I made eye contact with it, it felt like it would like swallow me whole and I would die, or something like this. But the truth is that when we let ourselves actually look at ourselves and lean into the scary places inside, we realize they're not as scary as we thought. And then slowly, slowly what we see is that any of these states, none of them last. None of them last. They're not going to last. None of them. And we have a tendency to think, oh no, I'm going to be like this forever. I'm broken. that thought is a misleading thought, because nothing in this world stays the same ever. It's like everything is changing. And so if we don't have any comfortability in our own mystery, then of course we'd feel depressed and anxious and scared, and this opening our eyes and being like, what is this? I think ask questions and lean into it.
So week 3 is here, and we're really getting into it this week. We are taking the students into a more in-depth understanding of many things. They're diving in more deeply into philosophy, into the anatomy, into inversion training, arm balances, really upping the skill level. We're asking a lot of them, and they're rising to the occasion. We're also giving them more opportunity for introspection and making a daily practice of meditation 2 times a day, 20 minutes, a non-negotiable. So they're not only building their physical strength, but they're building their mental strength too this week. Then the elbows, keep that same interlace. Just try that a few more times. Stretch the hands out. And then the elbows draw them in.
In this training, we have done anatomy of the body in general, and then more specifically how they relate to the asana. So we've been learning a lot about just the movement of the body, and we've spent a fair amount of time talking about the practicalities of the yoga business as well. The morning practices have ranged in intensity and topic. So every morning I have a little bit of excitement about what are we going to do today? What is it going to feel like? We've really gone a variety of directions. We've had acro and partner yoga, and the intensity for me has been more in that aspect, just like not knowing what to expect.
It's such a blessing and also a responsibility for us to be the guides on this journey of transformation, and to see our trainees really bring up whatever is at the core of their being, and to see them share that, allowing themselves to be seen and vulnerable, is really at the core of why we do this.
We've all heard that fear are false emotions appearing real, and what we're intending to do is to shed a light on the truth and to create a space for people to feel safe and comfortable and loved, to shed those stories that they've been carrying around, what they're afraid of and what they can't do. And we're here to remind them that they can, that they are powerful creators in their own right, every single one of them. So we're offering the safe container for them to just shed their layers and be the powerful beings that they are meant to be.
I'm often quite a reserved person when I meet new people, so I've definitely grown a lot in terms of really trying to let myself come out of my shell, and Claudine does an absolutely amazing job with that. She gets us involved in all these games, which usually I wouldn't want to be a part of, but everyone is so loving here, and there's no judgment, so I don't feel like I have to hide. It's incredible being a part of this group. Everyone is supporting each other. Everyone is supporting each other's journeys. It's amazing when you meet someone or a few people who You feel like you've known them your whole life, and they make such like a beautiful imprint on your heart that you feel like you don't remember what life was like without them.
Won't come back until the cold wind blows.
I think I haven't cried so much and with such an open heart for a few years, and I'm very grateful to our teachers and to the whole community that this has happened, and this has allowed us to open ourselves. This is the biggest highlight, and I'm coming from the fact that I was doing it with a small baby on board. So my message to all moms, just don't be afraid. This is possible if you're just determined to do that.
Through this experience, I feel like I'll try to connect with people on a more powerful level, on a more human level, even with complete strangers, because I have been embraced so lovingly by complete strangers throughout this experience. And I want to be the person to give that to others. I want to be the person that makes random strangers feel really special and loved and cherished and cared about. I want to give that to someone else. Because everyone deserves that, don't they? Like, we're all here, we all want love. And I think that's a really valuable lesson that I've learned here.
3 more days until I'm on my own. You'll be on your way home. Won't come back until the cold wind blows.
Give it the valve.
Good.
Listo?
Join us next week on Journey Beyond.
Next week is the last week of the training. This month has flown by. Can't believe we're almost at the end. We are ready to give them their last bit of vim, vigor, and pep to send them out into the world as yoga teachers. Let's do this! Into who we need to be as teachers, powerful and deep and strong.
Hey love, you got your heart on your sleeve, but the shirt on your back's a bit small. Hey you, yeah, your colors are changing, the world ain't